Ian Trottier for Discussions of Truth. Folks, I started my program in 2016, not by a desire necessarily to start a online talk show or be it a podcast format, but out of necessity, out of request it was, and necessity, folks, to get the truth out, because the mainstream media, as you've noticed, is not reporting the facts. It's not giving you a fair and balanced reporting. It is giving you their narrative, their opinion, which is simply causing divide. I want to first say that I frankly don't take sides, Republican or Democrat. I ran for Florida Senate seat, District 27, and I ran under my own party. Nothing against the Democrats or the Republicans, but I frankly find corruption rampant in both parties. And the fact of the matter is, folks, that neither one of these parties existed in 1776. It wasn't until 1842 was the year, it may have been, that Andrew Jackson created the Democrat / Republican Party, which later became fractioned off as the Democrat Party. So it wasn't until last fall 2020, late summer was it, that these civil unrest groups began to defund police departments, take down statues, and cause turmoil in the streets of America. That's when I began to back the then sitting president, Donald Trump. Voter fraud. Okay, so folks, look, 2020 fall, October, Doral, I teamed up with Zach Vorhies, who had been a previous guest on my show, and as stated in his book, Google Leaks, buy it now. He and I got his message directly to the president. This is how it happened. As you will read in the book. By the way, this is Americans Priority Hat, Americans Priority Conference coming up. The next edition in October 2021. But again, backtracking to last year, the event in 2020 is when Zach and I had teamed up. It was through a woman that I'd met at the event named Karen. She gave me an invitation to a private fundraiser for Donald Trump. Ticket price $5,000. I immediately went to Zach to see if he had interest. He had interest, and he found the funding to attend. It was not my. It wasn't my suspicion, and remotely, that he and I would both get into the event. I didn't have a ticket. I didn't have the money to get a ticket. Andrew, a fellow we met in Davie at an event where Zach had gotten a speaking assignment. Again, I believe it was through Karen. Kindly provided transportation for us. So the morning of, as described again in chapter 13 of this book, Google Leaks, we went to Doral to this fundraiser, guarding Zach, if you will, as my asset. He was somebody that I was protecting because I urgently wanted to get his message to the president. That was my objective. I got out of the car with him, walked him to the door, and that's where I figured I was going to turn back, go back to the car. They ushered both of us to the next door. They then ushered us to a second door, and then to a third door through a metal detector and up to a registration table. The woman proceeded to check Zach in, asked Zach if I was a guest of his. He said yes. Elated, we retreated to a privacy in the entranceway of the bathroom, slapped high fives, and went into the ballroom. Deployed to work the attendees, passing out cards, getting the message out that the Google whistleblower was in the building. I found a seat in the center towards the back. Zach found a seat towards the front left. Kimberly Guilfoyle came on stage, spoke briefly. VP at the time, Mike Pence, came on stage, spoke briefly. Donald Trump then proceeded and spoke for probably 10 to 15 minutes. During the whole time, Zach could not see what I was doing, but I was sitting towards the end. He had an idea where I was sitting. I was sitting towards the end, but he couldn't see that I was constantly getting the president's attention to point over at him. Towards the end of the speech, Donald began to talk about big tech. That is when I vocalized the fact that the Google whistleblower was in the building and directly pointed at him. After the president had concluded the speech, I walked up to the front to meet with Zach. I had noticed that on the other side of this barrier, Tiffany Trump was standing up and walking out of the room. I grabbed her attention. She turned back, paused, thought about it, approaching to see what we had to say. Kimberly Guilfoyle ushered her off. I then went back to the other area of the room, began talking to people, letting them know about the Google whistleblower, etc., passing out business cards. At that time, Zach had approached me and said, look at this. I followed Zach, and Zach followed Justin, as described again in the book. We were led to the other side of the building, outside of a conference room, where we took a seat. Kimberly Guilfoyle then came out of the room. We had a meet and greet with Kimberly, and then after that, an entourage had accompanied Tiffany Trump out of the room, along with her fiance, Michael. Perhaps they're married now, I'm not sure. So Zach had his encounter, I had my own encounter, and I looked Tiffany square in the eye, and I told her that she had to get this message that Zach was bringing to her father. When people make eye contact and they understand what you're talking about, there's a feeling, right? There's a feeling in the chest, the heart drops. I knew that she understood the urgency. Zach and I proceeded to hang out with Justin and some other people, as mentioned in the book. And that evening, having created some new friendships, we were in the restaurant and the bar where Secret Service began to swarm the area. There were probably 200 people in the bar. And there was an announcement made that the President of the United States was walking into the room. Everyone stood, applauded, and Tiffany to his side, Donald walked up to Zach and exchanged some words. I was on the other side of the room, conversing with new friends, and he pointed 180 degrees right at me and said, "Hey, who's this guy? He looks like a prizefighter." He then walked up to me. I went to shake his hand. Secret Service shunned that, so he walked past me, stopped, and asked a person in my area, or just asked generally, how Joe Biden had done that night. I then got Zach's attention. I say, "Hey, Zach, how did Joe do tonight?" Zach responded to the president, and folks, the rest is history. What we have right now is an urgent crisis in this country. I began my show in 2016 in Miami Beach. I didn't want to do it. I didn't think I'd be ever doing what I do. But the fact that the corporate media is simply polluting television sets across the American country with filth and inaccuracies on both sides, and simply creating a divide, therefore, and not doing reporting. They're creating opinion pieces, tabloid, propaganda type garbage. That fact has led me doing my show, which was simply being a voice and remains a voice to allow those who know what they're talking about to be heard, i.e. Zach, i.e. Ray McGovern, former CIA operative, i.e. Lawrence Lessig, former presidential candidate. And that is where I began doing what I do today. And like I said, it wasn't until the civil unrest was taking down Portland, Seattle, Chicago, New York, that I began to take sides politically and support Donald, because it wasn't happening in the Democrat Party. No one was standing up for this destructive behavior, except for Donald Trump. Frankly, I don't align with either Democrat or Republican, as I mentioned. What I align with is the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, and our inalienable rights that, folks, only you can stand up and defend. Only you can hold these large corporations, be it television networks, be it social media, search engines. Only you can demand that they uphold those rights for you. You must make a stand. You must make a stand now, and do it in the name of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, if nothing else. If you want to do it for your Democrat Party, do it for your Democrat Party. If you want to do it for your Libertarian Party, do it for your Libertarian Party. Do it for your Republican Party. It doesn't matter. Do it for your country. Do it for peace and civility. So, Chapter 13 in Google Leaks, written by Zach Vorhies and Kent Heckenlively. They have gracefully forwarded a copy to me. I recommend it to everyone in your family. Buy it today. Recommend it to everyone in your workplace. I recommend it to everyone in your house of worship, wherever it may be, in your neighborhoods. This is a bipartisan report, folks, of the destructive behavior behind the operations of Google.